Oh, have I got a story for you? Well, I obviously disappeared for a month, and it's been a hell month, and I want to give you just a quick update. This won't be a polished video, just me in my hotel room, out of breath, but lucky to be alive. So let me tell you the story of what happened over this last month. I flew to Serbia, as some of you know who follow me on Instagram, about a month ago now, a little bit more. And when I was here, I was just living a normal life in Serbia. Serbia wasn't in lockdown. I thought it was a perfect place to come make some videos for you guys. However, I caught coronavirus, COVID-19. My own fault, I think, really. You know, wasn't being as safe as I should have been. So I've got no one to blame apart from myself. And the biggest mistake was that I didn't go to a doctor immediately. I sat in an apartment with it for 10 days. I don't know why. I think a number of reasons. One's I'm a Brit, and us Brits, like, we hate going to the doctors. Two, a little bit of macho-ness maybe. And three, I don't know, just I thought, oh, it'll be all right. I'm young, or young enough. You know, I'm not in the age group that dies from coronavirus. So I waited in this apartment for 10 days as I steadily got worse and worse and worse. It was horrendous. By the end of it, I couldn't even walk to the bathroom. I couldn't breathe. And that's when a friend said, okay, listen, I'm going to take you to the hospital. I remember walking to the taxi on that day, and honestly, it was like I was an old man. I had to hold on to him. Now, what I didn't know at the time, because I didn't know anything about medical things at the time, but what I know now was there was no oxygen in my blood. Most people have an oxygen level of about 98, 99 in their blood. What I subsequently found out was mine was down in the low 70s. I was dying basically at home and not realising it. My organs were shutting down. I couldn't think straight, which was another reason why I didn't go to the hospital. My brain just wasn't thinking like a normal human would due to lack of oxygen. Anyway, I went to the hospital, a private clinic here in Serbia, and they said, shit, you need to get to hospital immediately. They called an ambulance and they took me to a COVID hospital, a government hospital here, and they put me on a ward. And they gave me a few meds and stuff, but after a few days I wasn't getting better. In fact, I was getting worse. I couldn't breathe. It was getting worse. And, oh, my arm's so tired. So what happened then? Well, friends started coming through for me, above and beyond the call of duty, really, and they started making phone calls, and friends in Russia made phone calls to the Russian embassy and said, listen, we got someone here who's done a few things for Russia in his time, promoted the country. Can we do something for him? And fortunately, someone at the Russian embassy took pity and made some phone calls to the director of the hospital and said, we got this guy here, can we get him, put him in intensive care? And so I got moved up to intensive care. And I spent a week basically in intensive care in this hospital here in the suburbs of New Belgrade, trying to recover basically. I saw some terrible things in that intensive care unit. On the 1st of July, I woke up about 5 o'clock in the morning to see the person in the bed next to me being resuscitated manually by the nurses and doctors. There were nurses and doctors all around, and they were trying to resuscitate that person. It was an older person, but I just remember lying there, just watching this, just thinking, what the fuck is going on? I'd never seen a dead person before, definitely never seen anyone die before, but that person died. And that scared me a lot, because I was like, well, if that person can die, and they weren't that old, then who knows about me? A few hours later, the person in the bed in front of me, I was just watching their machine, their monitors, nothing else to do in an IC unit, and it just went flat. The nurse came over, checked him, called a doctor, checked the pulse, threw the blanket over the face. He was dead. He was a lot older. But yeah, so that was pretty nuts, basically, just to see two people die in front of you like that. Really brings it home to you, you know, just what this coronavirus is about. Anyway, the ICU unit staff, how do you say it? ICU unit, whatever, were amazing. The Serbian doctors and nurses, I have to keep switching arm because I've just got no strength. The doctors were amazing. They looked after me. There was a nurse in there all the time, just checking me, giving me all these medicines, antibiotics that, well, subsequently have kind of like fucked me up in some ways, but got me over the coronavirus. I had double pneumonia. I mean, it spread to every part of my lungs. So yeah, it was really at one stage, it was kind of touch and go, without being overly dramatic. Anyway, eventually the medicine started to work, I started to recover a little bit, and I was released from the IC unit back onto a ward, and I spent another 4 or 5 days there. Yeah, it's been an absolute nightmare. My body's wasted away just from lying in bed all that time. I just saw the most terrible things there. You know, just people who are never going to make it. And people who are younger than me. You know, this is the thing about coronavirus, is that we think that statistically, if you're under a certain age, there's no chance anything's going to happen to you. It's such a small percentage, and that's probably true. Maybe it is only a 1% chance that some complications will happen to you. But Jesus, I mean, if you're in that 1%, that doesn't make much difference, you know. I saw younger people than me in there. I don't know, of course, their medical history, what things happened to them, but, you know, what other reasons there were, maybe underlying reasons. But, I mean, they're in a terrible state. I saw people get things shoved into their rib cage and, like, drain out this liquid without anaesthetic just because they had to do it immediately to save their lives. It was like a horror film. I've never seen anything like it. I think I've probably, like, got PTSD from this experience. Anyway, yeah, so you find out in times like this who your friends are, people who came through for me, you know, made phone calls, people that I hardly knew, like a friend of mine called Misha, who organised an aeroplane for me, an emergency flight out of Serbia, a private plane basically. The doctors didn't let me use it, but he arranged it for me. Friends of mine who made phone calls and just made sure that I got the best care that I could in this private hospital, in this government hospital, sorry. Anyway, I've been out. I was released a couple of days ago. Oh, when was I released? Yesterday I was released. And I've checked into a hotel in Serbia to recover. This really has knocked the stuffing out of me. And I just wanted to make this video just to say, please be careful, guys, because I was a dick, really, you know. I took chances. I travelled when maybe I shouldn't have travelled because, you know, I've got a channel on YouTube and you feel the pressure to make some videos. You're like, okay, I'm going to go make some videos, but really that was a stupid thing to do. I should have just stayed home, ridden this whole thing out like everyone else. So, yeah, please be careful. Look after yourselves. As I say, just because maybe you're in a certain age group, you're under, you know, you're not in your 70s or 80s, you think you're going to be fine, everything's going to be all right. But look, I'm not that old. And look what it did to me. So if you get any symptoms, just go immediately to the doctors, you know, and start getting the process started. Don't wait like me for 10 days. What a knob. So, yeah. Oh, man. So what have I learned from this experience? Well, I've learned, wow, life. You know, the most fundamental thing, when I was in that ward on the unit and I saw those 2 people die, it's like you realise that there was nothing spiritual in it at all. You kind of expect like this moment of death, some kind of, I don't know, this light to shine down in angels to raise you up kind of thing. And the reality is that you're on a bed, someone throws a sheet over you, switches off your machine, and your life's over, and that's it, and people die on their own. You know, there was no spirituality in that. And so I suppose my point is, if that's how we're all going to go out, then make the most of your lives, because yeah, do what you can, achieve what you can. Don't waste time on Instagram and shit, because one day you're going to be on a hospital bed like that with just a sheet thrown over you. That's pretty morbid, but that's the truth. The other thing is that what else? Oh, my knob shrunk. I think my knob's actually shrunk during this. I've not had a twitch down there for a month, so no one tells you that. You see, no one tells you that your knob's going to stop working. So, yeah, that's something else. That's something else you got to worry about. Oh, man, what else? I don't know if that's just the antibiotics, and maybe I'll start getting a twitch eventually. But, yeah, no morning glory for the last month or anything like that. What else can I tell you? I don't know, guys. Just please be careful, genuinely. What's the future for me? The future for me is trying to get my muscles back up, trying to get my lung capacity back up. Yeah, and I just want to say a big shout out also to the Serbian people. I'm a foreigner here. They took me into their hospital, gave me a bed that could have been used by a Serbian, you know, put me in their IC unit, looked after me. The doctors and nurses at that hospital were just so fantastic. there were times when I was genuinely scared that it was going to come to an end. But they reassured me. They gave me the medicines that I needed. They checked me. They took me down for scans and stuff like that. Nurses were there all the time, constantly just coming over saying, you're right, come on, we're going to get through this, fight a little bit harder. So big up to the Serbian people. I've always liked the Serbian people, but Živela Serbia once again. And I've got a long road ahead of me of recovery. I don't know, going to be a few months now. The antibiotics have taken its toll on me. I think they've screwed my teeth up. Like the enamel was peeled off my teeth and stuff. This disease is a fucking killer. It's a nightmare. So please look after yourselves. Take care. I know that whole thing. I hate being told what to do in life. Honestly, I hate being told what to do. I hated it when my government said, wear a mask, wear gloves, do that. I'm like, who are you to tell me what to do? But, it's for your own good. And so what? Just bloody wear a mask if you have to, for God's sakes. Who gives a shit? Right, it's just a mask. I don't know. What else can I tell you? You want to hear more about my knob? That's it, I suppose. Don't want to ramble for too long, but I just want to give you an update. So that's it. That's my COVID story. How I almost died of COVID. I'll probably think of loads of stuff afterwards that I could have added. Of course there is. But just finally, just to say, look after yourselves. Take care. And many thanks to the people who came through for me. Who came through for me in this last month. You find out who your friends are at times like this. And the people, just a little text messages even, just saying, come on, we're pulling for you. Hope you get through this. Those mean a lot at those times. Anyway, I'm not asking for sympathy. I'll be fine. It's going to take a while. Get some muscles, but I'm so embarrassed walking about. Just this body of an 80-year-old man. When I checked back into this hotel after not being here for a few weeks, they literally did a cartoon double take. They were like, is this the same dude? He was in his 40s before and now he's in his 70s. Nightmare, absolute nightmare. But I'll get through it, I'll be fine. And we'll be back to making some films. And I don't know. Yeah. We'll be back at some point to have some crazy adventures. Central Asia, something like that. But I need a couple of months just to focus on myself and get myself healthy. All right, guys. Once again, Živela Serbia. Thank you to the people of Serbia for helping me out on this one. And I'll see you further down the road, you crazy buggers. See you later.